I've got a pile of 3D resin printed miniatures here from onepagerules representing 4 different demon factions. And these would be perfect to proxy in Warhammer 40k for Nurgle, Khorne, Tzeentch, or Slaanesh. I'm going to go ahead and paint them up using 4 different painting methods. Contrast speed painting, the Army Painter dip method, traditional drybrushing and shading, and finally the Army Painter tricolor airbrushing method. This is going to be pretty cool. My name is Troy. You can probably hear a 3D printer running in the background because this is facility D20 where we're always making cool stuff. All of these miniatures are from onepagerules. I 3D printed them, washed them in alcohol, and then finally cured them for about 3 minutes. Most all of these were primed with my airbrush using gray. Now first up, we're going to do the contrast speed painting method. I painted all the loincloth and bone areas here, but the loincloths I gave 3 coats just to make it darker than the bone. Next up, I've done the hilt of the weapon with some Space Wolves Grey. And then the main part of this miniature was some Flesh Tearers Red. Now the trick with speed paints is that when they start to set, they don't like to be moved, so you gotta work with them quickly. Now maybe this is cheating, but I had to pick out all the armor bits with some silver and then give it a real heavy coat of Nolan oil to darken it down. Yeah, here it is done. Next up, we moved on to the Army Painter dip method. I did break out my wet palette for this and load up some colors. Now the thing with this, you only have to worry about base coating. You don't have to worry about shading or highlighting, but you gotta give them a nice good prime of the color that you want to go with. Then it's just time to pick out all the details. Use brown on all the loincloth and clothing areas. A little bit of orange to pick out these mushroom growths on their shoulders. Some camo green here to kind of add some contrast to this miniature. Then picked out a few more areas with some Exile green. Now, if you really wanted to, you can give it a quick dry brush for some quick highlights, but I decided to keep it very basic here. After all, we're going for speed painting. A little bit of bone on the weapons and toenails, and then it was ready for the big dip. Army Painter makes a dip specifically for this, but any 2-part wood stain will do here. Dump them in and shake off the excess. Now, the key to this is let it dry overnight. It's going to be super shiny, but hit it with some matte coat. And this will take all the sheen out of it. And there you go. Some nice contrast, super easily. Next up, we're going to go with our traditional Shading and dry brushing. This is a tried and true method. You don't have to get too complicated with it. Apply your base coat. Give it a nice heavy wash. Once that sets up, go in with a nice bright color and give yourself a quick dry brush, and even an overbrush in some cases. Next, I picked out the legs and the hands here using some molting orange. One thin coat did the job here. There's an imp yellow on the beak. This took 2 coats. All these names flying across the screen here are members of my Patreon. You guys rock. You really helped me bring this channel to new heights. It's unbelievable the support that you guys give me. Thank you guys so much. If anybody is interested in my Patreon, the link is in the description below. Go ahead and check it out. Next up, I continue to pick out the base colors. Some turquoise for the cloth areas here. A little bit of earth shade on the feet and hands. Now there's one coat that I did earlier on the feet and hands, allowed some of the highlights to just bleed through after this wash. And finally, some old school Thraka green on the clothing areas. I love this old color wash and I need to get myself some more of it somewhere. Next up, I picked out all the gold armor parts, gave them a nice wash of sepia, and finally a quick dry brush with silver. This thing looks great for another quick speed painting method. If you like sci-fi terrain and want a chance to win a free 3D printer, head on over to LV427 Designs and download the free file Corridor Last Stand, and you will automatically be entered to win. And while you're there, check out everything LV427 Designs has to offer. They're making amazing STL files of interior spaceships and building complexes for everything sci-fi. Their files are support free and print up great. With some basic painting techniques, you can have an amazing setup in no time. Also, you can use the discount code D20-15 for 15% off your first order. So make sure to take advantage of that. Link is in the description below. And finally, we're moving into the Army Painter Tricolor system. This is all airbrushing work here, and I decided just to stick to the tail sections. The way I mix up paint there, as you just saw, I like to do it to a consistency, not a ratio. So when I get to the feel that I like, that's when I apply it. First is the heavy coat of the base color, followed by a downward shot of the mid color, and then finally a very specific shot of the high color. And this gives for some nice blending, contrasting tones. Now, this miniature was so small I couldn't do it all with the airbrush, so I had to go in with my paintbrush and pick out some of the details. This is just a random mix of colors here that I tried to get some sort of purpley flesh tone color going on here. Didn't quite work, but oh well. Picked out the silver parts with some silver and washed that in some Nuln oil. A little bit of bright gold for the jewelry, and bracelets and armbands. And then a wash of flesh shade over everything. Gold, flesh, all of it. So the goal here is not to go for this super detailed paint job, it's just to do a quick one. I also like to give a little glazing just to help blend those purples together. Here they are, 4 different demon factions with 4 speed painting methods. I think the fastest one here is definitely the Army Painter dip method, probably followed by the contrast method, then the dry brushing and probably the airbrushing is probably the slowest out of all of them. If you like this video, there's a whole bunch more on my channel. Make sure to check them out, and I'll catch you on the next one.